Hey everyone, I'm Will. Welcome back to my channel. And today, I'm going to be talking about what made Netflix's Daredevil series so amazing. Now, I'm not sure if I've made this clear, but I consider myself something of a Marvel fan. So it's a little surprising I was so late to the party when it comes to this show. I didn't end up watching it until last summer, about half a year after it was canceled. I quickly discovered what all the hype was about. I'm a big fan of Daredevil in comics, and this show is a perfect adaptation. We'll get into the comic accuracy later, because the first thing I'd like to talk about today is the cast and their performances. For this video, I wrote down a bunch of notes on my laptop because I was, and remain, a good YouTuber. Number 1, Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock.
I beat you!
From a purely comics-based point of view, the casting of Charlie Cox seems a bit odd. I mean, casting a brunette Englishman to play a strawberry blonde New York native is a bit of a bold move. However, I think the most important aspect of adapting comics to other media is maintaining the spirit of the character. That idea is why I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man is an excellent version of that character, despite some of the details diverging from the original stories. The casting director found the perfect Matt Murdock in Charlie Cox. He embodies the passion for justice that drives Matt, and has all of the charm to be a successful lawyer by day, and the fury and physique to be a crime fighter by night. Not only was he a great Matt Murdock in personality, Charlie Cox also gave a brilliant, nuanced performance of a blind man. He successfully depicts the full, rich lives that people with vision impairment lead, in contrast to the way that blindness is typically illustrated in media. In fact, Charlie's performance was so excellent that the American Foundation for the Blind honored him at the Helen Keller Achievement Awards after the release of the first season. Casting Charlie Cox to play Matt Murdock and the Daredevil was an absolute slam dunk, a move that would only be reinforced by the casting of the other characters. Number 2, Eldon Henson as Franklin Foggy Nelson.
Do you have any idea how much life has sucked for Karen and me while you're off doing your own thing?
Due to his big heart, Foggy Nelson can be a bit of comic relief in the original stories, and that remains true in this show. But he's not just there for the sake of comedy. Foggy is a righteous lawyer who fights for his clients with full-throated vigor.
Here's a man charged with ensuring the safety of this city, just as you are. And yet, he stands idly by.
Eldon Henson does just that, all while remaining seriously lovable. He does his best to balance Matt's secret other life. He works hard to help his friends and is dedicated to his family. Eldon Henson is the perfect Foggy Nelson, and he puts in such a charming performance that you'll find yourself agreeing with him even when he's in direct conflict with the main character. With the 2 lawyers covered, there is one last member of Nelson, Murdock, and Page I'd like to cover. Number 3, Deborah Ann Woll as investigator, journalist, office manager, and good friend Karen Page.
I can tell you a secret, Wilson. Is it okay if I call you that? I feel like we know each other well enough by now.
As you wish, Karen.
Great.
From the beginning of the show, before we even know anything about her character, we can already see her struggle and identify with her pain. Woll's performance, particularly in the 3rd season, elevates the character greatly. As we finally gain insight into Karen's past, Deborah Ann Woll does an unbelievable job of expressing her character's pain and suffering, all while demonstrating a resolve that propels Karen through the whole series. So, having covered why I like the good guys so much, it's time to get bad. Number 4, Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin himself, Wilson Fisk.
You asked me why I let you in. The reason is, Miss Page, I have a few questions of my own.
If you ask me, no one steals the scene harder than my man Vincent. Kingpin is genuinely terrifying. Every time a character did something to cross him, I got anxious on their behalf, knowing that Fisk's retribution would be swift and fierce. Jesus Christ, right? But it's not just the physical and psychological intimidation that he radiates. D'Onofrio also nails Fisk's more tender moments. His love for Vanessa is palpable, and you can really believe all the things he's willing to do for her.
Yes, I was actually wondering if you cared to join me for dinner.
I love the cast of Netflix's Daredevil so much, but I'd be lying if I said their performances were the only thing that made the show great. The action in Netflix's Daredevil is absolutely incredible. Even in my notes, I wrote, "There are no words to describe how cool the action is." And it's true. So in lieu of an in-depth discussion that would never do it justice, I'm going to show you a couple clips, starting with the legendary hallway scene, One Take, from season 1. God damn, and that's cool as hell. But it's not just Matt. The stunt coordinator also does all the other characters justice, choreographing kick-ass fights for Matt's former girlfriend Elektra, as well as for his reluctant ally, Frank Castle, the Punisher. This segment of the video is going to be shorter than me raving about the performances, but that's just because the action speaks for itself so clearly. The performances are excellent, but they're added to so much by the awesome action scenes. Seriously, the fight scenes in Daredevil are sick. I mentioned it earlier, and it's finally time to come back around to it. Faithfulness to the comics as source material for the show. Specifically, I'll focus on my favorite part of the show, which is Season 3, though I do love 1 and 2. The third season is largely based on the classic Born Again storyline written by Frank Miller, which I adore. Its dark tone, which focuses mostly on the downfall and eventual rebirth of Matt Murdock and Karen Page, is heavily present throughout each of the episodes. The actors give excellent versions of their comic book counterparts, and the storytelling perfectly follows the tone of the comic. It may have taken a couple tries.
Oh, hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
But Marvel eventually managed to adapt Daredevil perfectly. The emotional intensity throughout the show gives it the energy of a great book where you just can't stop until you've finished all of it. The performances are great, the action is compelling, and the writing is faithful to its inspirations. I cannot recommend Netflix's Daredevil highly enough, and I urge all of you to watch it as soon as you're done watching Knives Out. Now that I've made my points, I'll briefly touch on the hashtag Save Daredevil movement, which I'm a big supporter of because I love the Daredevil series, and even though it's subtly woven in there, it does take place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. With the launch of Disney Plus and the cancellation of the Daredevil show on Netflix, it's not 100% certain that any of the cast members will get to reprise their roles or any of the storylines will continue in future Daredevil media. The hashtag Save Daredevil movement is doing its best to pressure Disney to keep the characters and stories that we love so much. Even the actors, particularly Charlie Cox, have come out solidly in favor of saving the current cast and story for future Daredevil media, and I really hope that pans out because goddamn I love this show. And that's why I love Netflix's Daredevil series so much. And I really hope you give it a try. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next Tuesday.